All right, welcome back to the KnivesFAST channel, guys. We have a fixie for you here, a neck knife. So say hello to Ren and Stimpy, Powdered Toast Man, Log, and TV, and let's get started. Now, little disclaimer here. This is an overview, not a full review. I have been out of town working, and I didn't get to carry this but one day, but I have cut with it a little bit. So we could talk about it, but it's more of an overview and not a review. Plus, you guys know usually if it's a prototype or a sample, and I don't have full specs and everything else, I usually do an overview anyway. So that's what this is. If you're not subscribed, guys, stick around. Lots of good stuff. Now, this is the QSP. Well, there's the box. The QSP. Why did I pick that up first? I have no idea. Canary in yellow G10 and black G10, kind of layered there. You do have a Kydex sheath. Really cool. And it comes with a neck knife chain, and you can obviously put, like a tech lock or whatever on there if you want to carry it on your side, or you can just take this off and slip it down in your pocket, which is probably what I would do if I kept this. So let's get into it. By the way, you can just sort of push that off and drop it in the floor. Nice. Okay, so here it is, this little bitty guy. Now, this is like a 3-finger knife for me, more like 2 3/4. It is definitely not a 4-finger knife. There is nowhere to choke up. You do have this good texture on the G10, plus you have these weight reduction holes, which aid in grip. Really nicely done. Now, it's got this really interesting jimping on the blade. It's kind of radial. So what I found is if you just push, you're fine. But if you push forward, you kind of go off of there like a screw, It's like it moves your finger to one side. But if you're just doing the serious thing, it's not a problem. It does have this really cool drop point blade. By the way, this will be coming out in this month, August. Don't know exactly when yet, and we'll go over pricing on the different options here in a minute. Really cool. You have screws holding the what do you call them, Casey? The scales on. Wow, nice. Over here, wow, I'm tired. Sample and 14C28N. You do have a QSP logo there on the blade, and you have this really nice satin finish. And it looks like maybe kind of like I would call it stone-washed on the flats. That's what it looks like to me, at least. Now, let's do a comparison real quick. A lot of you have seen me carrying this guy a lot, the J. Kobach Goliath. And a lot of you have said, man, that's a tiny little knife. Well, I'm here to tell you that the Canary is even smaller. And just for fun, here is the Ontario Rat 1, which is way bigger, and the Ontario Rat 2, which is still quite bigger. So this is a tiny little knife. Now, it is taller than the Goliath, as you can see. Let's do this. So we'll put him here and Goliath here. You can see the Goliath is much narrower in the hand, but it is a 4-finger knife, and this one is taller, but definitely not a 4-finger knife. All right, let me put this back in the sheath. I don't want to accidentally slice my fingers off, so we're not going to do that. All right, so let's clear a couple things off, and we'll talk about specs, and we'll do a couple other things here, because, again, this is a little out of the ordinary, because, again, this is a prototype, a sample, and not a full knife. Now, what I learned earlier is this guy just cuts, okay? Now, it's small, so I did come out of the cut, but look, I mean, this is 14C on the steel, and it cuts. Now, it requires a little bit of force because it is such a lightweight knife, and because I picked such a small piece of cardboard. But you can see it just cuts. Very, very nicely done, and now I've made a mess, which is what I do best. Now, let's put let's put the knife out there. Oh, man, I really am tired, guys. And now Charlie Brown fell down. Gee whiz. I am having a hard time. I was out of town working, and I came back not feeling the greatest and very tired. So this is literally a 5-inch knife. The blade is 2 1/8 with a little, that's to the cutting edge, and then about 2 1/4 for the whole thing. The handle is roughly 2 1/2. So this is a tiny, tiny little neck knife. Now, we'll talk in a minute about carry as a neck knife. And first, we'll zero the scale, Casey. That would actually be a good idea. All right. And we're going to find out that this one is just 2.12 ounces. So that is very, very nice. So now let's do the important part, which is we're going to put it in the sheath. And might want to put it in the sheath correctly. And we're going to see what this contraption weighs. So you're up closer to 3 now with the whole thing. Obviously, you probably shouldn't include the chain, but it's not going to, yeah. Well, it did make a little bit of difference, but not a whole much. But it's 2.6, if you can't read that, it's 2.68. And with this, it's 2.82. And just the knife is 2.12. So it is significantly different. Now, in this little sheath, you have very nice traction, okay? Well, that's the chain. Hold on, let me hold the chain. No rattle, nice positive traction, no adjustment screw, which is fine for this little guy. You do have a really nice sharpening choil. And by the way, decently thin blade stock comes down to a really nice, decently thin flat grind edge. And I've got goop on there from cutting, but that's okay. Now, when it's in this, I don't think it's coming out. Okay, so I carried it around my neck for about half a day. Now, let's talk about this knife as a neck knife and then my theory of neck knives. Number one, this is great as a neck knife. It is not very heavy. It's not going to bash you in the chest or anything like that. I just don't prefer neck knives because I want a knife to be secure, okay? I don't want it no matter what you do with a neck knife, that sucker is moving around, okay? Now, it's secure in the sheath. That's not what I'm talking about. I just don't, the idea of it doing this while I'm walking is not my favorite thing. Now, to each their own. So again, if I had this knife, I would take it off of this. I would not put anything else, and I would just pocket drop this, just like I do with the Hoback Goliath. So very, very much so. Now, it is very small, but I know there are some folks out here that are just going to love this knife. Now, what's it going to cost? David from Blade Banter, who is QSP USA, sent me a message, and it says this model will be about $49.50 with G10. The micarta versions will be $53.50. The Damascus and aluminum foil carbon fiber will be $99.95, and the Damascus and copper foil will be $103.75. All of those options are pretty daggone cool. I'm not a huge fan of yellow, so hopefully there's other versions in the G10. But again, some of you will probably love yellow. You know me. Blue is the thing for me. So there you go. That is my overview of the QSP Knives Canary fixed blade neck knife. And let me know what you think of this little guy. It's fun, guys. I got to tell you. When you do as many reviews as I do, it's fun to do these little overviews where you're not as tied to the stats. And I mean, again, I showed stats, but it's a little bit different. So this was fun. I did get to carry it a little bit, and it's a fun little knife. And I hope you guys enjoyed checking it out. So please give me a thumbs up and a comment. Let me know, would you carry this? And guys, thank you ever so much for watching the Knives Fast channel.